I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHack's Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is why men lose interest in sex. Love. Yes, you heard me right. Love. This surprising episode is my third in a series on male sexuality, in which I attempt to correct some of the general misunderstanding surrounding this topic. And just a warning, I'm going to get a little explicit today. Men can and do lose interest in sex, and this can be difficult and damaging for both parties in a relationship. I've already talked about familiarity and habituation as two underappreciated suppressors of the male sex drive. Today, I'm going to talk about a contentious one, love. Love can significantly hamper a man's desire to fuck. There are a number of reasons for this, so let's get to it. First and foremost, we have to understand that a lot of sex, and especially fucking, is aggressive. It's aggressive. That's why, on some level, in a relationship, if you're fighting, you're probably not fucking. People, including your partner, are annoying. They're annoying. And one of the organic behavioral impulses embedded in annoyance is aggression. Aggression in the service of protecting your space and sanity, but aggression nonetheless. And that aggression has got to go somewhere. If it's not dissipated in the bedroom, it often gets voiced outside of it. Consider all the various slang terms we have for sex. Hit, bang, smash, screw, pound, rock, bone, slam. These are not gentle words. These are violent words, which would befit a transmuted aggression. And if there's anything diametrically opposed to violence and aggression, it's love. Where you love, you don't aggress. And where you aggress, you don't love. Remove the aggression, and you might be able to sweetly and tenderly make love, maybe, but you definitely won't be able to fuck. Now, when a woman succeeds in conquering a man's heart, or more frequently, when a man surrenders his own, love transforms a man's perception. As I've said before, people can only love to the depth of their understanding. Without understanding, and in the beginning there can be no real understanding, there can be no true love. What is present in the beginning, however, is attraction. Attraction has nothing to do with understanding. Attraction is the recognition of certain physical and behavioral cues that stimulate desire and motivate people to approach and maintain. Attraction has been called superficial, mostly because the cues, like by definition, have to be observable, whereas interiority, who a person really is, like by definition, is presumed not to be. But it actually reaches deep into a person's biology and unconscious mind. And like it or not, you kind of can't dispense with it. This is because if a person isn't pulled by desire, they're probably not going to devote the time and effort to moving toward and understanding the other. This doesn't always happen, of course, but it functionally never happens without it. In any case, male sexual attraction is heavily weighted toward the visual. It is mostly based on looking at the outside of the woman. Her inside, which can't be seen, is largely irrelevant. And this is why we can say that male sexual desire is founded upon objectification. This is not toxic or immature or disordered. It's the way men are. On some level, men need to be able to objectify a woman in order to desire her. Damn, I'd love to slide into that. Men typically don't fantasize about a woman with huge accomplishments or a massive education. They are programmed to respond sexually to physical and behavioral cues that they can visually observe. Trying to change that is to try to make men, well, not be men. It is what it is. If you appreciate the insights on this channel, I would highly encourage you to get your hands on a copy of my book, The Value of Others. Over the course of 432 pages, I delve deep into my economic model of relationships and explain the behavior of both men and women in the game of mating and dating. I also provide a lot of actionable advice on how to get and keep more of what you want in the sexual marketplace. Once you read The Value of Others, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. Now available in ebook, audiobook, and paperback formats. The links are in the description. But here's the thing. When a man begins to love a woman, then the interiority begins to take priority over the exteriority. He begins to understand and value her, the person in the body. And as the love grows, so does the value he ascribes to her person. She's not just any person. She's a special person, a precious person, a soulmate. This motivates him to treat her more gently, more tenderly, and with greater consideration. And this shift in attitude has direct consequences for his sexuality. Namely, it is increasingly purified of its aggressive elements. A man is not going to choke his soulmate. He is not going to bend his one true love over a railing and fuck her in the ass. He is not going to tie up his one true love and torture her with pleasure until she's laying in a quivering puddle of her own juices. He's going to do these things with a woman he can objectify because love doesn't choke or rail or torture. This sexual dichotomy has been characterized as the Madonna-whore complex. In this complex, which is far more common than you might think, men unconsciously split their sexuality onto different psychic objects. They either see the woman as good and pure and chaste, wife material, or they see her as dirty and debased and DTF, a little whore. It's very difficult for one woman to be both to one man, though certainly the same woman can be both to different men. The unification of both into a single woman, a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets, is the male fantasy. But even here, the splitting still occurs. When she's a lady, she can't also be a freak, and vice versa. And this is a big part of the reason why, traditionally, there were no love marriages. There was the wife, the Madonna, and there was the mistress, the whore. They were never meant to be the same person. However, over the past 100 years or so, we've collectively decided that no, the only legitimate partnership is a love marriage. We want the Madonna to be the whore and the whore to be the Madonna, which is very difficult to do. Freud was one of the first to describe this phenomenon. He wrote, "Where men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love." I'll say that again because it's the entire thesis of this episode. Where men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. And this creates a number of problems in long-term relationships. Most notably, it tends to undermine the basis of said relationships. Think about it. Women want to be loved, but love kills men's desire. And it's desire, not love, that motivates men to get and keep relationships with women. Men do things for the women they want to fuck that they wouldn't do for anyone else. They might love their friends, but they don't buy them a house. They might love their siblings, but they don't pay their bills. They might love their pets, but they don't enter into a binding agreement never to associate with another animal for the rest of their lives. It's the desire to fuck that motivates men to part with their resources in often strange and irrational ways. In any case, if men want to secure long-term relationships with the women they want to fuck, and they enter into monogamous relationships when they desire to have exclusive sexual access to said woman, but in the course of their relationships, they begin to love their women, which reduces their desire or ability to fuck, then men are in kind of a double bind. By getting what they want, they tend to lose what they desire. So what's to be done? One solution is for men to develop the capacity to kind of switch their objectification on and off. It's going to sound a little weird, but a man kind of has to be able to turn off his love for his woman in order to fuck her properly. Among other things, this allows a man to physically manipulate a woman, turn her around, bend her over, smack her ass with confidence. In that moment, he can't be too concerned with the precious little lady on the inside. If this sounds strange, it's probably because right now you're not feeling very sexual. But once you start to feel sexual, what I'm saying will make sense. Selective objectification will facilitate sexual desire in men, and a satisfying sexual relationship will strengthen and preserve their relationships. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And please, send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message. I know you know a guy who needs to hear this, because it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. Other value propositions. Anyone looking to join my free weekly newsletter, for which I write original content, or book a paid individual consultation with yours truly can do so on my website. There's also my best-selling book, The Value of Others, in which I explore the intersexual dynamics between men and women, and my private member community, The Captain's Quarters, where I host bi-monthly group consultation calls and Q&As with invited guests from all over the internet. The links to everything are in the description below. Check them out. A lot of great value there. As always, I appreciate your support, and thank you for listening.